wait, and okay. So I saw. Sorry, there's like something that popped up on my phone. But so basically, I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, I'll wait for them to do whatever they have in their plans next, and then then I'll try to escape after that. So like they set me down on a bed, and I'm like looking up at the ceiling, and they're like looking over the top of me, and all of a sudden like I pass out now back into like my soul form. But now this is like the feeling of when you're about to fall asleep, and like it feels like you're falling like jolt out of bed. It was like this kind of feeling. It's like you're falling, but it was in like this eternal dark hole. Like this hole was like forever, and I was like, back in my soul, and I was like I felt like the feeling of like falling forever, and all of a sudden different forms of like torture were happening. Like one of them was like I was literally getting like ripped apart by spikes, or like like completely destroyed and like compressed together, and but the thing is like I wouldn't die because your soul doesn't ever die. It's eternal. No matter like what pain you go through, you just have to experience it, and that's just the punishment. You just have to endure it. But like I said, like during this whole time, I was still thinking, I was like, this isn't what I imagined hell is. Like I imagined, hell, fire, all that kind of stuff. So I was like, this is like yes, this is like completely terrible. Like this alone was beyond like anything, beyond my nightmares. But like now, thinking like, because now I know like what the actual hell is, which is the actual fire, which is even worse than what I went through. So that's like even more terrifying to think about. Um, but anyway, so like yeah, so my soul's going through all these terrible torture things, and all of a sudden like eventually I like go back into my body and I like look up and instantly I start like praying, and I'm asking him once again for like mercy, and forgiveness, and to be let out of this terrible uh, reality basically, and it doesn't stop, and then like pass out again back into my soul form, and now my soul form I'm like falling again and going through different tortures, and this happens over and over. Well, then I'll wake back up and I'll start praying again, asking for mercy from Jesus, because Jesus is real. Spoiler alert, Jesus is real. But and my soul knew that, because like I said, my soul knew who to plead to, the one, the one that has dominion and power over being forgiven and not. And so as this kept happening over and over, I'd pass out and get tortured and then come back into my body and pray. Eventually it stopped once again. And this time like I opened my eyes, and um basically as I'm like sitting there, now I stand back up because nobody or everyone that was like around me, like all like the my demon friends and like his mom and like his brother, because his brother at one point came downstairs and he was like telling me like, oh, just go to sleep, take a nap, like close your eyes, you're gonna be fine. But like I said, it was like this, the tone behind it was like this, the most like demonic evil form. It was like a, like you can't even try to like mimic it because it's literally like not a possible thing. It's like this new like reality of evil voice that you can only try to imagine it. That's all you can try to do. And so, but I was like, no, no, no. This guy wants me to close my eyes so this way I can like go pass out again. So this way they can pick me up and carry me further down. So I'm not a problem to them trying to fight back or anything. So I was like, no, no, no. But eventually then, all of them were gone, and I stand up, and like now I'm back in my body, my human body, and I'm standing there and I'm like, okay, like that was my opportunity to escape because all the demons are gone. And so as I'm walking through the basement now to go back up the stairs and see if the door's there and not see if I can still escape. Um, I stop and like one of like my friends, which once again were the demon forms of them. I stop and I ask him, and I'm like, where am I? Like, what is this place? Because I was like, isn't hell supposed to be fire and all this? And I was like, this isn't. There's no fire here. But I was like, but this is like equivalent to what at the time I was like, this seems equivalent to what it would be like in fire. Like this is how bad it is. And I ask him, and he looks at me. He's like, "Oh, you're in like purgatory," and like I never have heard of that word at the time. Like I had never actually like heard what it meant, but like when he said that, like I instantly like understood like what he meant by that idea of like purgatory. Basically, like, oh, like this is like a form of like my own little personal hell for what it looks like, and I'm basically being decided between like if I'm given another chance, or if I just go to actual hell with fire right then and there forever, and basically like seeing like this final judgment kind of moment, and so I'm just like, oh, so this is like my one and only chance. So like when he told me that, I was like, I started praying again because like there's a chance. Like there's the most tiniest amount of chance that I have to actually escape out of here. So I started praying again. I'm like, oh please, 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 like I was like, God, please let me out of here. Please, Jesus, let me out of here. And I was like, if you let me out of here, I'll like change my life when I get back on Earth, and I'll like tell everyone about the things I've seen, and I'll warn people about these things, and like I'll try to help as many souls as I can realize the truth. And like at this time I was like thinking about like everybody in my life, like my family, my mom, and all these people. And I was like, they're gonna get finessed just like I got finessed. And I was like, they're gonna literally, like, if I don't get out of here, then the devil's literally gonna finesse them, because they're not gonna think, or they're gonna think it's all a joke as well. All of heaven and hell and God and all that, they're gonna think it's a joke as well, just like I did before this all happened. And then they're gonna actually go through it themselves, but this time we're all gonna be trapped in hell forever. And I was like, I can't even warn anyone, because I was like, I can't get out of here. But I was like, that's why I was praying. I was like, please just let me out of here. Let me like help people, all this stuff. And still nothing happened. And so eventually, I'm like standing there looking at like my one demon friend, and I was like, hey, let's like, because I was thinking, I was like, hey, let me like try to trick this guy into thinking we should go upstairs, and this way I can like sneak out of the house, out of hell, then. And so I was like, hey, like, let's go upstairs. Because at first I was like, oh, well, I'm going to leave. And he's like, no, you can't leave. I was like, well, I'm going to leave. And he's like, no, no, no. And so I was like, well, okay, like, let's go upstairs. I was like, because then I remember that one blunt that we, like, rolled before this all started. I was thinking, I was like, oh, what if this demon still has the blunt? I was like, what, maybe me and this demon can go smoke the blunt outside. But really, I was like, thinking, I was like, okay, I'll just get him outside next to my car. And then once we're there, then I'll, like, quickly run in my car and then drive away. So then I was, like, trying to, like, befriend the demon, basically. In my mind, is what I was thinking. I was like, so then I asked him, like, hey, let's go upstairs and smoke that blunt if you still have it. And he was like, okay. Like, we start going upstairs. And then, like, my other friend, demon dude, like, we're all going upstairs now, all three of us. And, like, we go out into the garage, and we're standing there, and I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, this is my, like, chance now. And so I'm standing there in the garage, and I'm like, but I can just, like, bolt out of the garage, because, like, something's gonna happen where, like, there's gonna be like another little demon guard that stops me or something. So I was like, I gotta like play this extra smart and like take it nice and slow and approach it in like the perfect way. So this way like they don't see it coming. And so I'm standing there, I'm kinda like looking around, and I'm just like trying to like be friends with them now, where I'm just like trying to talk to them, be like, hey, haha, hey, what's up, buddy, kind of thing. I was like, please don't drag me back down to further form of hell, because I don't want to be there. And so like I'm looking at one of my friends, and so like I look at like the demon friend dude, one of them, and I look at her and I ask him, I was like, so why is this all happening to me? Like, why am I experiencing all of this horrors that I'm going through? And hold on, I'm gonna turn on my light so it's not as garbage reading. But so when I ask him that question, like, why am I going through this? He like looks at me, and then he looks up at the ceiling or the sky, and he's like, oh, well, it's because you never believed in God. Like, literally says those words to me, and I was just sitting there, and I was like, oh, and I like look at him, like I just like kind of freeze, because I was like, I can't even say anything against that, because I was like, you're right. Like, I never believed in God. I never believed in any of that before I died. I was like, I thought it was all a joke, and like I was like, and now this is my punishment. Like, now I'm screwed, and I get to go to hell forever, and that's just how it is. And but deep down I was like, no, no, no. Like I just like there's just part of me that just couldn't accept it because I was like, this just can't happen to me because you know like when you think of or when you hear of other or bad things happening to other people, you're like, oh, that sucks, that's awful. But then you don't really think about like, what if you truly was you in that situation, like how much worse that situation would be to you because it actually happens to you. So that's why for me I was like, this is happening to me. Like nobody else is experiencing this right now. This is only my consciousness experiencing my form of my eternal destination now. And nobody can come rescue me or help me or anything like that. And so I was just like, wow, this is awful. So then I kept asking him, I was like, okay, when can I leave? When can I leave? Like, when can I get out of here? And like I asked one of them, and he looks at me, he's like, oh, you can never leave this place. And I was like, I asked him, I was like, okay, how long have you been here for? And he's like, he looks at me, he's like, oh, I've been here for like 60 years. And I was like, well, I want to leave now. And so he's like, no, you can't leave. And I just kept basically like asking them this question. And then like his demon brother comes out to the garage, and I asked him the question too because I was like, when can I leave? And he also said like, oh no, you're just not leaving, dude. Like just accept it, you're not leaving. But I just wouldn't accept it because I was like, no, no, I just can't accept it. I just don't want to be here forever. I just can't be. I have to get out of here. And so eventually I was like, okay, well, then I was like, at my last resort, I was like, okay, well, I still have that one, my plan of like sneaking out of the garage. So I was like, if this doesn't work, then I guess they're right, and I just literally can't leave. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm like thinking, I was like, okay, well, I gotta go get my car now and make it kind of smooth so this way they don't try to like stop me or anything like that. And so I think like one of them, I was thinking, I was like, okay, well, I'll let one of these demons, because like if I try to leave here myself, they're not gonna let me. So I was like, thinking, I was like, okay, well, what if I let one of the demons like leave with me, basically? Like, okay, what if we get out of here together, or, because I was like, okay, well, what if you drive me out of hell, basically? I was thinking, I was like, because wherever else this demon would drive me to had to have been better than the place I was already in my mind. And so I was like, okay, I'll take the chances of this person driving me, this demon driving me somewhere else. So I was like, okay, you can have my keys. So like I get in my car, and then like my demon friend gets in the driver's seat, I get in the passenger seat, and like we're like driving down the driveway, and as we're driving, and it's like a long driveway, and so like when we get to the very end of the driveway, I'm thinking like, oh, right when we leave the driveway, everything will go back to normal, and I'll be fine, and I'll be set free. And like right when we like turn out of the driveway, all of a sudden I pass out again back in my soul form. But now this time I was in like this super long tunnel. And it was like you're like the most typical like scenario you can think of, like the idea of like go towards the white light. Like there's literally at the very end of the tunnel is like this extremely like it's like this bright white light. And everything around me is super white. And literally it's like a super compact tunnel, and it basically looked like I was crawling through like a cloud, and like I could barely fit through, and like my soul's like literally being forced to like crawl through the tunnel. I'm like, oh, I gotta go towards the light. I was like, oh, that's like Jesus in heaven, all that at the very end I can escape. I was like, this is my chance. I was set free. I was given the mercy. And so I'm crawling through the tunnel, and I like get to the end, and all of a sudden like I wake back up in my body, and I'm like back in the car. And I'm sitting there and I like look over at like my friend that was like a demon, and now he's like, there's like this angelic, holy, amazing like aura type of presence around him. And I'm like, I was like, yo, this is like an angel of God or something like that. And I'm like, oh, this is my one chance to like ask an angel a bunch of like stupid questions, or just anything you've ever like wondered about heaven or anything like that. If, like I said, even though before I didn't think it was real and all that, but then now it's like, oh, now's my chance to ask an angel. And so, and like as this was happening, like I like felt inside me, I was like, oh, this is about to like end though, like this whole vision thing, because like at this point I was like, oh, this is a vision, like this is like a gift from God to like see what it would have looked like. And so I was like, okay, well, this vision's about to end. Like I could like feel it in myself, like this vision is about to end. And so I gotta like start asking questions and like just, and I was like, yo, so like this is like means God is real and all this other stuff, and I was just like going crazy. I was like, this is the most insane thing ever, and so as I'm like asking a bunch of questions stuff like that, event like all of a sudden I start like there's like this timer that goes off basically in my head, where like I count down from like, or I from 3 to 0, so I go like 3, 2, 1, 0, and then when I get to 0, all of a sudden like full reality like hits like a truck, and I'm like, phew. I'm like, whoa, like the whole vision now is like over, and I'm just sitting there in the car, because like my friend was driving me to my other friend's house, and so I was like, or I was just sitting there and I was like looking out the window and I was like, this has been the most insane thing I've ever seen or experienced. And I was like, this is literally like the best gift I've ever been granted, was mercy and like the chance to see this vision, this wake up call for my soul to see what it, like how horrific it would look like to actually die in your sins and go to hell. Except, like I said, this wasn't like my form of hell, wasn't even actual hell. It was better. It was less horrific than actual hell, which is terrifying to think about, because the form of hell I was experiencing in my vision was beyond anything I ever even thought of would be of horrifying. So to think that actual hell is even worse than what I got to see is like, that's not fun for the souls that actually end up being deceived to hell and actually end up in hell, because the Bible actually talks about like that, like there will be souls going to hell. At the end of the day, there is just going to be people that just refuse to listen or refuse to wake up and acknowledge the truth, like, because the sinner, they don't want to give up the sin, they don't want to give up the lust, the desires of the world, the flesh, and all its passions that come with it, and theft and greed, and our hearts are filled with evil. So we don't want to turn from that, because it's much more fun to party and live it up and have a good time now. Because people are like, well, I'll take my chances of if hell's real or not. Because in their minds are like, it's worth it to take that chance, because if hell isn't real, then that means I gotta live my best life and there's no punishment, because now my soul just, or my consciousness ceases to exist now. But the thing is, unfortunately, it's literally, there's two options when you die: heaven or hell. But you can only try to help so many or warn so many. Some people at the end of the day, they just refuse to listen, because the sin has hardened the heart to make people refuse to change. Because people, just like I said, no matter what they're shown, no matter what they're given, they just don't want to change. And so, yeah, eventually then, as like when we finally get to my other friend's house, like this is basically wrapping up the end of like this whole like scenario, or this whole vision kind of scene that played out through this night. So like we get to my other friend's house, and I'm about to and like he walks me up to my friend's door, and as I'm about to like walk through the house, I like look at him, and I'm just kind of like look at him, and I'm like, this guy. I was like, so this guy was a demon, now he was an angel, and now he's like normal again. And I was like, so I was thinking, so is this guy like secretly an angel in disguise or what? And I was like, I don't know. And so then I like walk, or as I'm about to walk through the door, he like gives me like this kind of look where he's like, all right, like, this was your one and only chance. This was your one and only kind of like opportunity to see the truth and to like have your wake up call. So it was kind of like, he like gave me this look of like, don't blow it now, like, you better go change. You better go make that life better now, because you've been given the best gift ever. And it's like I walk through the door, I like go into my friend's house, and there's a bunch of other people there, and like basically start like preaching to them about like the things I saw, and they're all like, no, you're crazy, dude, like you're tripping, you don't know what you're talking about, whatever. And I was like, no, you guys gotta listen to me, like you don't understand. Like I know what it sounds like, but you don't actually understand how true it is, like how actually real it is. They're like, no, you're crazy. You're like hallucinating all this stuff. And then like after that night, so like weeks later and all that, like more people started like hearing about it, and I like tell more people about it. Like a lot of them would say the same, like, oh, you're just hallucinating, dude. Like, you're crazy, bro. Don't overthink it. You're just tripping off of drugs, off of weed. Then I was like, and eventually I started hearing it more and more. And I started like trying to like convince myself of that. Yeah?
What? I need my fan.
That one's.
Huh?
Oh, okay.
Do you not have one? Did Hunter break both fans?
Well, no, the other one's downstairs.
Oh.
But that one's broken, and I didn't know it. I took it.
It's 900 degrees in here. He didn't know this, of course.
Sorry. My brother walked in my room. Which, he might watch this video one day. So it's kind of funny if he does. I don't know. Or anyone. Hopefully everyone sees the video. Obviously that's not going to happen, but, you know. You just gotta try. But, oh yeah, so eventually I started like trying to convince myself of this idea of, oh, I was just hallucinating, because deep down I wanted to keep partying and like, you know, doing whatever I wanted. So I would try to convince myself every time I'd go back out to party with my friends that, oh, I was just hallucinating. I don't have to worry about that night. There's nothing more to it. I try to convince myself once again that God isn't real. Because I was like, oh, it was just a coincidence and all this other stuff. But every single time I go out and party, like deep down, like my soul knew. My soul knew, like it wasn't just like this hallucination, joke kind of thing. Like there was more to it than just that. Because like I said, the things I saw were, like it was, like obviously, explaining it, you can't really understand it as well as if you were to see it yourself. But like it was like this next level of like real. So, but like I said, I kept trying to convince myself every time I'd go out and party that, oh, I was just hallucinating. So that's why I wouldn't feel guilty. I could justify my sins and all this other stuff. Which is what every sinner does, is when they don't want to give up sinning. They try to justify it with anything and everything they can. Like, oh no, God isn't real, this is why. Then, like, any excuse they can find, they'll go to the ends of the earth. I say they, but I also mean myself, because I literally did the same thing. Like, I'm a sinner, I'm no different than anyone else. And that's why I know this, because I've went through it myself. And now when, like, I talk to people, I can, like, see it. When I talk to other people about this kind of stuff, like, I can see clear as day when they try to justify or try to avoid the whole situation, because it's just the sinner wanting to push away this idea of God, because the sinner soul, they don't want to repent. We don't want to repent, and we just want to, do whatever we please at all times. And we think, oh, we can do whatever we want, it's all good. But, so, like, then eventually, though, after, like, weeks of, like, trying to justify it, it was, like, eating me away, because I was like, no, like, I know the things I saw wasn't just a joke. Like, I can't just keep pushing this idea off. Because I was like, if it really is true, then it'll be me, once again, regretting it. But this time, it'll actually be real. And it'll actually happen forever, and I'll never actually get a chance to escape. So I was like, I need to, like, fully have, like, this, or I was like, I need God to, like, fully reveal something to me again in order for me to believe. And, like, I started, like, praying for this kind of thing, like, oh, God, if you're there, like, reveal yourself to me and all this kind of stuff. And guess what? He did. You pray for it, and you get it. But every time I'd get something new, I'd try to shrug it off, like, oh, that's just a coincidence. That's just a really big coincidence, Like, one time I was driving home, and, as I was driving home, I was, like, praying, and, I was, like, asking God, I was, like, okay, I need, I was, like, give me, like, a sign, or, like, something like that. And as I'm about to, like, turn onto my street, I'm, like, at a stoplight, and I like look over to my right, and there's like a minivan that pulls up, and on this minivan there's like 40 bumper stickers all around the car. And on the bumper stickers it says things like "Hell is forever," "God is real," "Jesus is real," "Repent," all these kinds of bumper stickers all around this guy's car, and I was just like my mind was blown because I was like literally 10 minutes ago, I prayed and asked for something exactly like this, and here it is. Here it is, clear as day. But yet in that moment I was like, coincidence. Just a really, really, really big coincidence. And and so like I said, more things like this would happen. I'd ask for them and they would happen, but then every time I'd be like, just a coincidence. It's always just a coincidence, you know? But then eventually I was like, hey, it's literally not a coincidence. Because every time I ask and I get it, like it's literally, it's real. And so, and then I was like, hey, like it's real. At this point, I was fully like, hey, it's actually real. And so I was praying. I was like, hey, well, I need to like be guided more to like the truth and like don't see the lies of this world and see all the deception of the world for what it is. And so I started like praying for this, for a couple days, kind of thing. And then all of a sudden on YouTube, I started to get these videos suggested for me, which I had never like watched previously or anything like that. Nothing like that. All of a sudden I just started getting like these videos suggested for me that talk about things like your typical conspiracy theory videos, which I say conspiracy theory with these air quotes because people, they think anything and everything is a conspiracy theory and it's all a bunch of garbage and all this other stuff. Like I said, I never like would actually watch any of these videos prior to this, but all of a sudden I started getting a bunch of things suggested for me that's talked about like, oh, Hollywood are devil worshippers and stuff like that. And I was like, that's really weird. I was like, let me check these videos out. I was like, why are they being suggested for me? But I was like, I'll just check them out. And at first I was like watching them. I was like, nah. This is your typical conspiracy theory garbage where people are overthinking it and all this other stuff. I was like, these people are crazy, dog. But then I started like watching more and more videos about it. And I was like, okay, hold on. I was like, maybe there's a chance that these aren't just like a bunch of wackos that have nothing better to do than to just try to, come up with a bunch of garbage, conspiracy theories and all sort of stuff. I was like, okay, I'm gonna start watching a little bit more of these because I was like, the stuff they're actually saying, I was like, I actually understand what they're saying. Like, I see what they mean by this. Like the things that the celebrities were doing, like the symbolism they use. A lot of the videos that I started watching would talk about the demonic symbolism that they literally plaster in Hollywood, like in movies and music videos and TV shows and pictures. Literally, it's everywhere. But if you don't understand it or what the symbolism means, then you're obviously just not going to understand it whatsoever. You're just not going to think anything of it. And so I started like looking more into like the symbolism and this kind of stuff. And I started like watching more and more, and I was like, yo, like this is actually crazy. Like this is actually real. I was like, at first I was thinking like, no, this is fake. This is a bunch of hocus pocus. But no. And then I started watching more, and then I started seeing it myself. Like I'd be watching TV, and I started seeing this type of symbolism pop up that they literally plaster everywhere. Like I said, but people, if they're not aware of it, they're just gonna think nothing of it. It's like the same as if like somebody were to like walk up to like let's say there's like a foreigner that had never, or no, somebody that was like on a abandoned island that had never made human contact, and then he came over to like America and somebody flipped him off. You'd look at that and be like you wouldn't even think anything of it, right? You wouldn't even understand what that means. So it's like the same thing. But then let's say somebody told them, oh, that just means like hi or like I love you in sign language, or that's just like the symbol of it, like how like, oh, this means peace. Like if somebody said like, oh, that just means I love you, that's just the symbol for it, then he'd be like, oh, okay. But obviously we know that's not what that means. We obviously know what flipping someone off means. But So my point basically is what I'm saying is like the idea of symbolism. Like if you don't understand what the symbols mean and the reasoning behind it, then you're not gonna think anything of it, and it's gonna go right over your head, and you'll never even like notice them either, because you just think, oh, that's just like, why would you randomly think, oh, that's got to be devil worshipping symbol or something like that? All this shows their allegiance to Satan. Like you're not gonna think it because if you don't understand it, like I said, you just don't. You just won't. But the reason why, like these symbols and all this other stuff is true is because there's people called Freemasons, and basically what Freemasons are, like, okay, yes, anybody can become a Freemason. It's basically like the world's biggest type of like secret society kind of thing. It's not really secret society, but basically once you join, even at the lowest ranks, you have to like basically swear to this oath of secrecy, basically. And there's like levels to it. That's like level 1, level 2, and it goes all the way up to I think 33, and that's like that's the 33rd degree is their highest like elite people, and those are like the big time ones, like the ones that nobody you don't really know about them. No, they don't expose themselves because they keep themselves hidden. This kind of stuff. They're the ones that work all the strings for the devil because they're the ones that push the devil's agenda, because all they want in is money and their little fame and power or whatever, and during this time on earth, and in exchange they'll just do whatever the devil wants, because in the Bible, in James I think 4, yeah. Like James, or no, 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 4, it says how, well, first and foremost, this one says, in their case, the God of this world has blinded the minds of the unbelievers to keep them from seeing the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. So, and the reason it says, like, in their case, the God of this world, and the reason why is because in the Bible, it very clearly describes how the devil is the God of this world now. Like, he's been given the power over this world to, tempt people, like, basically work his little evil strings on people, anyone that was willing to worship him. And because, like, God is the teacher, right? When you're taking a test in school, the teacher's not walking around talking, doing all these stupid things, right? They stay silent, right? So God is the teacher, and the test is your life. So at the end of your life, the teacher, which is God, judges it / grades it and sees how you did. And if you passed, then you go to heaven. And if you failed, well, yeah, unfortunately, it's a lot of fire and it's not fun, and you go there forever. But what I'm saying is, like,